Have you ever purchased a piece of gear and then later regretted it because it wasn't quite living up to the hype that was built up to be? Or maybe you bought something that you thought was going to be great and it's pretty good, but it's just not getting the use you really had hoped it would. Well, today I'm going to show you a much easier way to make informed purchases that will both you really love the gear and you get the use out of it. So let's have a think about that. Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode. So glad you're here. Great to have you with us. Today we're just going to do a quick breakdown of how to make the most informed, best decisions you can when you're purchasing your gear. And really can't wait to get into that. But of course, just want to take a second. Thank everybody for being here. Thank everybody that's joined us, subscribed to the channel, follows the podcast, gives us likes. All those things are such a huge help. Thank you guys so much. Again, if you haven't done any of that stuff yet, take a second. It really does help. Join the community. Love to have you with us. But let's get right into it. Today's video is just one of those videos right in the middle of, we just had Black Friday, and then we have Christmas coming up, and we're in the middle of all of us getting gifts and things to share with the ones we love around us, the ones we care about, and show them. But also, we usually have a little bit of cash hanging around ourselves, and it's a great time to pick up new gear because the sales are so amazing and they're right in your face. Well, I also fell into this spell, of course, for the studio. Wound up making a big purchase and being super happy and buying a bunch of different things. And as I'm going through them and getting them used and putting them in their proper place and trying out all these new things, you wind up thinking about how great it is and how they work and how I'm so happy with what they do. There are new parts to the whole system that we use as a whole. And I wanted to share with you guys today how you can also have those same results when you go out and purchase new things to use, to bring your music to a new life to your music, or to add to what you're doing, and be happy with those purchases and make sure they're done right. So let's get that done right now. So how was I able to go from just buying a bunch of new things for the studio, and of course to make sure that they're useful, they do what they say that they're going to do, and they're going to be useful day in and day out for practical use. Now, the real information here is research, and everybody loves to throw the term research around. So we're not just lightheartedly throwing around the just do your research, because it doesn't mean the same thing to everybody. That term has become so overused and oversaturated in our vocabulary today. It's really lost its meaning. So we're going to break down exactly what we mean when we say do some research, and what that means, of course, is not just go out and see that you like something, look at some pictures of it, and just read what the company's telling you and being okay with it. You've got to move on. You've got to move past that. And so we built a little bit of a tier system here, 3 different levels of how to make sure you're doing the right kind of research. So the very top of this tier, the very most important part of this pyramid, the thing that you should be doing the most, investing the most time into when it comes to researching your new product, is, of course, finding actual examples of them being used with audio, and then also reviews or anybody doing comparisons between what this is, things like it, things it represents, and comparing them back and forth. Those 3 are the echelon of whatever you're doing. So if you find yourself just about getting ready to pull the trigger to buy something new, invest that money that you have into something new, step back and take a look at why you reached that decision, why you got where you were ready to buy this thing, and make sure that you weren't conned. And that's the whole thing, is that it's not so much a con, it's just that every company, every business has gotten so unbelievably good at manipulating our mental state and what really pulls us to buying, to spending money, to letting go of what we have to get something new. And they found ways to manipulate us, and we need to start fighting back. So again, instead of sinking into all this other thing, the first thing you start with, you go onto YouTube, you go onto Google, and you find somewhere that somebody's done a review on this with actual audio examples that you can pull up and listen to and hear what it does, because we're talking about music here. There's going to be audio examples of this happening. And the more that you're able to listen to that and also compare it to either what you have that you're replacing or to other examples of it, and that might be close to it, and why you're making choice A over choice B, to be able to listen to those A-B differences is really where it's at. That's where you really find out if something's going to be useful to you or if it's not going to be useful to you. Reviews are the fantastic because they break down every piece of it, what it is, where it came from, why it exists, what it's for. They usually at the end give some kind of example of here's the pros and cons and would I recommend this, are usually in most reviews these days. And really pay attention to those. But also you have to be a smart person, a smart individual, a smart buyer. You have to be able to look at it and say, is this person invested? Is this a sponsorship first and foremost? Are they getting paid to use this? Do they have a strong case of bias when it comes to this because they invested so much of their money? And of course, they're going to tell you it's good because they can't be told it's bad because they just invested so much of themselves. We've all done it. We've all been there. You just have to be aware of that. So reviews are great to get pieces of information and be able to contrast that to whatever you're going to buy. But comparisons and actual examples where you can A and B are the best. And there's so many great, just dig a little bit deeper on those YouTube videos and those reviews to people that are actually giving you examples of here's what I use, or here's an example of a good one versus this, and be able to dig deeper into that. Those actual physical things that you can use to make a gauged and informed decision are the most valuable. The second tier on this pyramid here we're talking about of what's really going to help you is testimonials. And again, not testimonials from people that have a vested interest, but people that actually use them. Again, reviews are a form of those testimonials, but there's also, you can find on, if you dig deep into like Reddit or you're going into any forums, that's a great way to just figure out who's using it, what problems they've had, were they easy to solve, was there customer support, what was it like having this, and did it work? Did it do what they wanted to do? Did it make that big of a difference? All those kind of things. With testimonials, you have to be very careful, again, of weeding out the bias. There's, of course, that old bias from the old heads, especially in the audio world, of analog's better, it has tubes, it's better, so on and so forth. You just have to understand where the testimonial is coming from and understand how it applies to what's going on, so that you know how to say, yes, this works, yes, this doesn't work. They're a little jaded, or they have some kind of bias because they've invested so much into this. So just be aware of those kind of things. But testimonials are so great. And in the world of testimonials, musicians are fantastic. But if you really want a little hit, like bonus hint or a little secret to take away with this, a top tip, look for the engineers. Engineers, we are the nerdiest, weirdest individuals where we will dive so deep into something and just nerd out beyond comparison. If you find engineers using something, over and over again, one after the other recommending the same thing. And it's not just because it's been in studios and they're trying to capture the same sound that, studios did in the 70s and 80s, but because it's something they use daily and something that they get great use out of, and they can back it up. Engineers are a great resource. Go figure out where they're talking and learn what works for them in their studios, in the real world environment, day after day. That's a great tip. Take that with you. So that's the second one, testimonials. And also reviews fall under that. We know that we buy something on Amazon, we go and we like to do reviews and research them. But also we know that we're smart enough to understand that companies can buy reviews now and they can just say great things here and there. So just know how to weed through what the good reviews are and look at the worst ones. Why didn't it work? What were the problems? How was it resolved? Is this a common recurring thing I'm seeing in the reviews? We all know how to do those things, but it's a form of testimonial, so use that to your advantage. At the very bottom of this, the very thing that you should probably be using least of all is the company sales pitches. And that includes all the pretty graphics they throw out there, the 3D animations, the amazing script they write with all the fancy words that tell you why it's the newest, greatest thing. And like I said, they've gotten so great at manipulating our brains and our ears and getting our wallets out that we really should not be using anything that they're saying or taking it at a face value. Yes, they're going to tell you why it's the greatest new thing. They're going to emphasize all the pros, never talk about the cons. They're going to make you watch, all these great animations of why it's this new, most amazing thing you must have. It's going to change the world. In the audio world, we get the false examples with the audio world. They'll just show you this muddy trash mix. And then all of a sudden something will swipe and make this beautiful, clear, booming, absolutely perfect mix because of this one plugin or this one thing they added onto their sound chain. And it's not true. You can't listen to that. It can pull you in and you could say, hey, I am having an issue in this part of my audio. This may solve it. Let me dive deeper and see who's using this. How often are they using? What results are they getting? Is there a better option? Is there a cheaper option? That's always a case too, especially the more you're seeing these high-end graphics. Maybe there's a better option because they're investing too much in trying to get you into this. That's usually a case where you will see, the more that they're throwing at you, the fancier it's looking, the more that they're wasting on the advertisement and the graphics interface and the programming to get things that are just superfluous and you don't need them. So just take that in consideration. It's the last thing we should be looking at. Yes, you should be able to go there, pull up a spec sheet, see what it does, how it's going to affect the audio you're going to use it on, or the music that you're going to create. But those should be the very bottom. Like I said, go back to the top, find actual audio of examples of what's being used, how it's being used, what results did they get, what mix was it in that it made the difference, what reviews can you find that say this is great or this isn't great, or it might work for this situation and not this situation, and you can apply that better to what you do. I mean, just for example, if you've watched any of these before, you'll know that I usually have a WA-47 here, which is a 47 clone, and I love that mic more than anything. I've used it for years. It's such a great mic. But Black Friday came around, I couldn't resist picking up a WA-251, and I just had to have it. But again, did the deep dives, I did the reviews. I knew exactly what it does. It pulls down a little bit of the crispness and that high airiness you can get out of the WA-47 that sounds amazing on guitar. It sounds amazing on electric. It sounds amazing on acoustic. It sounds amazing on female vocals, and some male vocals just shine with it. But this one it's a better round sound, warmer. It's great for dialogue. It's great for, again, a different sound of the acoustic. If you're trying to pull out the body of the acoustic, it's perfect. Male vocals shine on this thing. And so just because I was able to pull up people that had done, I was even able, for this exact example, pull up a guy on YouTube who does great examples and ran through a long list of top-end mics and cheap mics and compared it with dialogue examples, music examples. Even the WA-47 had a direct comparison of how this one sounds versus that. So I was able to hear exactly why it's going to add something different to the mix versus what that one did. So again, it applies to everything. Even I believe this Black Friday, we picked up a gimbal for doing some video work for music videos, and same thing, deep dive, watch the reviews, what works, what's it do, how's it work, how's it updated, how's it supported, all those kind of things. Lots of videos, lots of research, making sure to find not testimonials but actual examples of the video, how to set it up, what's it like, comparisons versus other versions. Is there a cheaper version? Is there a more expensive version that's just slightly more expensive but way better? Just know where you're at on the spectrum. Take your time and you'll make the right purchase. I hope this helped. Just remember that little tier of what you need to break down. We have another great example of buying gear, which is going to affect your sound chain and in your overall music. What's most important to invest into, versus what's least important to invest into. We'll tag that right here. Watch that, learnings, all that. But then if you go and you have that single piece of gear you want, follow this process. It'll help you out. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Really enjoy having you here. Give us a subscribe, give us a like if any of this helped you out, and we'll see you on that next one. Bye.